All right, happy hips, take 2. We're gonna start lying down on your back. Extend both those legs, settle into the supine position. You're gonna draw your right foot up to bend the knee, drop that knee out wide, and then run your foot down the mat. A few more of those. Lift, drop that knee wide, keeping your pelvis still. Run that foot down your mat, come back to center, and lift. You can keep your hands on your pelvis if that's helpful, just to kind of feel it in space and focus on keeping it still, which requires some support of your core. Think about drawing your ribs down, pulling belly button back to spine. And just start warming up that right hip. I'm getting some pops. And keep that leg long. We'll switch. Left heel runs up your mat. Drop that knee out wide. Run it down. Pull up, open, and down. Keep drawing ribs down. Keep pulling that right hip down to adjust your weight as that left knee opens out wide. Last one. And then we're going to lift both legs up into tabletop. Grab the inside of your thighs here and then open up your knees wide. And just kind of rock back and forth a little bit here. Opening up those hips and inner thighs. Just breathe. And then lengthen that left leg long again. Grab a hold of the shin of your right knee. And just kind of hug it in, going around in a circular motion. Getting into those deep hip flexors. And switch direction of those circles. And then lengthen that leg out long and switch. Grabbing the back of the knee, draw it in, and then circular motions. And switch direction of those circles. And then lengthen those legs out long, reach overhead, and just lengthen the whole body from toes to fingertips. And then hands back down by your side, feet into the mat. You're gonna lift up to your bridge, so send those hips nice and high. Shoulders are down and wide, find lots of width through your chest. Pressing strong into your heels and lifting by squeezing your glutes and inner thighs, pelvic floor, and hamstrings. Now we're gonna do hip dips. You're gonna alternate dropping one hip down towards your mat, lift back up through center, and switch. Lift and drop. Your knees are moving forward while those hips are going side to side. So you're not letting your knees move side to side. They're not swaying. Think about reaching, especially the opposite knee that's from your hip that's dropped is going forward. Using the glute to lift back up through center, dropping the pelvis side to side. Send those knees for the wall. Feeling quad work, hamstring work. For 4, 3, 2, and 1. Stay lifted. You're going to squeeze knees in together and open out wide. In and out. Feeling those inner thighs, hip extensors, glutes and outer thighs, outer glute, in and out for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lower that spine. Let's grab a hold of the outside of your feet for happy baby. Rock it out. Knees coming into towards your armpits. Lengthening the left leg long on your mat again. Right leg straight up towards your ceiling, as straight as you can get it. Pointing the toes, drawing little circles on your ceiling. Again, we're keeping pelvis still here. Press that left heel into your mat to really anchor you through your left side body here. Core is engaged. Keep that leg lifted and stay really strong and stable. Switch direction of those circles. For 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lengthen long, and we switch. Left leg straight up, point the toes, draw little circles on the ceiling. Feeling the inner thigh, pull that leg back to center. Draw ribs down, pull belly in and back. And switch direction of those circles. For 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lengthen. Making your way to your right side on your forearm. Legs are bent. And we're going to start with knee tap, heel tap. Internal rotation of this hip, external rotation of the hip. So bottom heel is floating here, bottom toes are on the mat. Internal and external. Make sure this shoulder is down and away from your ear. You're not sinking in. Keep pulling and lifting those low ribs. Core is engaged. Really get that full expression of this movement, internal rotation to external. Last 4, 3, 2, and 1. You're going to take that top leg long and just lift and lower. Not a huge range of motion here when we're propped up on our forearm versus when we're all the way down on our sides on the mat. But this really targets using that outer glute, the hip abductors, to lift this leg. And you don't want to drop the ribs here. Core is really tight. You're not sinking in here to lift that leg. We'll use the glutes, outer glute to lift. 2 and 1. Swinging around here, left hand to the mat, right knee to the mat. Keeping your left leg bent, sending it wide, back and down for hip circles here. So you're drawing a circle with your knee. Keeping your weight center through your hips. So a lot of weight is into that left hand. Switch direction of those circles. Last one. Nice work. Let's come up for a cat-cow. Round that spine and extend the spine. Making your way to the left side now. Left forearm, legs are bent. Heel tap, knee tap. External and internal. We're lifting bottom rib. Dropping shoulder down. top hand can be on the mat for a little support here, or on your hip, whichever feels better. Really open up that top knee and then twist and turn. Open and close. We're working hip mobility and strength. For 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lengthen that leg long, lift and lower. Make sure the upper body is not moving here. You're perfectly still. So you're really targeting the movement in this leg. See if you can get a couple inches higher for the last 4, 3, 2, and 1. Swing around, coming to your knee and right hand. Keep that leg bent. Hip circles. Out, back, and down. Out, back, and down. And switch direction. Wide in and back. Wide in and back. For 3, 2, and 1. Coming to your Z sit. Let's have the left shin in front, right shin in back. So here you have your left hip is externally rotated and your right hip is internally rotated. Hand to the mat, up and over, side bend. Really reach that right hip down towards your mat, lengthening away with your fingertips. And up and over, switch. And switch. Let's add a little thread the needle, reach through. Unwind. Come all the way back up. One last counter stretch. Then you're going to square off your hips towards that front knee, hands on both sides of that knee, and you're going to lift and lower that back foot. So deep internal rotation of that leg. It might be a really tiny movement, really challenging hip mobility and strength today. Just get it as high as you can. It's an awkward movement. You can adjust your seat to see if you can get a little more range of motion. For 3, 2, and 1. All right, let's swing around and switch. So right shin in front, left in back. Right hand on the mat, up and over, reaching that left sit bone for your mat. And switch. And switch. And twist and thread that arm through. Unwind. Come all the way back up, counter stretch. And then square off towards that front knee. And we lift and lower that back foot. It's more awkward on this side for me. Not to mention I already recorded this class once today, so my hips are a little tired. Last 3, 2, and 1. All right, hands to the mat. Let's press back to our down dog. We'll lift those hips nice and high. Reach your heels for your mat, stretching the back of the legs. Lift your left leg high, bend the knee, open it up. step that foot right outside your hand, and then rock back and forth through that back foot, really opening up your right hip flexor. And then drop that back knee, untuck the toes, twist and reach your arm back. You can let this knee fall out wide. Hand back to the mat. Press back to down dog, lift that leg nice and high one more time. And then pull that shin down in front of your hands, coming to your pigeon. Untuck your back toes, lifting up to your fingertips. Keeping your weight centered through your hips here and folding forward down to forearms or forehead. And breathe. If the glutes are tight, safe to say the hips are tight. So really important to stretch them out. And make your way back to your hands. Tuck the toes under, press back down dog. And lift that right foot nice and high. Bend the knee, open up that hip. Step that foot wide. Rock back and forth through your back foot. Drop your back knee, untuck the toes, reach your arm back and twist. Let that knee fall out wide. Hand back to the mat. Press back down dog, lift that leg nice and high. And pull that shin down, coming into your pigeon. Untuck the back toes, lift up to your fingertips here, lift your chest. Feel this nice opening through the left hip flexors. Oh, feels so good. Coming down to forearms and forehead. Keeping your weight centered here so you're not falling onto that right sit bone. Feeling the release of emotions stored in your hips. Making your way back to your hands. And press back down dog. And then stepping both your feet right outside your hands, coming into a low squat. Gently pressing your elbows into your knees, opening up inner thighs and hips. Rock it out a little bit here. And we're going to go into these low static lateral lunges. So just alternate sending the weight back and forth, lengthening out one leg. Just felt a nice pop in my hip. Lots of lengthening of those thighs today. Just alternate at whatever pace feels good for you. One more each side. Lovely, and coming down to a seated butterfly stretch. Feet together, knees wide. Sit nice and tall. Just flutter your knees a little bit. And then lengthen or press those feet out a little bit farther away from you. And just start to fold forward over your feet. Getting the stretch to the back of the legs and glutes. And slowly lift back up to sit tall. And we are done. Nice job.